Hello, good evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you may be listening to this. This is Cheap Shot Cinema.
Boom.
This is our new name.
There we go.
We're coming back in 2016.
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
Haven't done an episode since 2015. Very, very excited. So today we're going to be talking primarily Star Wars. That's going to take up a good amount of our time. I'll let Mike go on some more rants.
Oh, you'll all have plenty of things to say.
I'll be loud in the middle, and Ben will share his opinion at some point in time in between there. But right now we're going to go into some news.
Wait, who are we?
After I make introductions. Monday. It's Saturday, actually. Anyways, I'm Zach. And my co-host is Michael.
Hello?
Mike Gibson. And then we have Ben Manane.
Hello.
As our producer, is what I'm calling him. I don't know what a producer actually does.
Let's just call him a producer.
So
I
feel like that actually canopies over a lot of things. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the deal that we're going with right now.
I like your use
of
the word canopy.
So yeah, right now for news, I guess I'll start with the thing that I talked to Mike a little earlier in the week about and is most intriguing to me, the idea that we might get an Obi-Wan Kenobi possibly trilogy.
Really? A trilogy?
They're in talks.
Yes.
I did not hear
They
about
will
that.
milk this Star Wars until we hate it and can't stand it any longer. So it's a possibility. I brought it up to Mike just because I saw it online of somebody was like, hey, wouldn't this be really cool if they got Ewan McGregor and blah, 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 Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan in episodes 1, 2, and 3 and was one of the bright spots in a fairly poor trilogy. Got him to come back and play, re-up his character in this kind of new, rebooted, whatever you want to call it, just new kind of feel, though, without, George Lucas on the helm, and make a few movies out of what he did between his time between the first trilogy and the originals. So what are you guys thinking? I think it would be really cool to see him get back into that role.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm excited about it as opposed to like a Han Solo or a Boba Fett movie.
You're still gonna get that.
And that's the problem is that, I whereas I don't want to have those characters fleshed out, like I think it'd be super interesting to see what Obi-Wan did between the time of episode 3 and episode 4. That would be really cool to see what could have happened there. So, it sounds like there's a lot of stuff we don't know, especially from, episode 7, between that and episode 6. So I can't imagine what could have happened, when the Empire was coming into power and everything like that, and Obi-Wan was one of the last of the Jedi. I think that could be a really compelling story, depending on what they do with it. Or he could have just been hanging out on Tatooine the whole time. You never know. Let's hope that we don't get a trilogy of that.
Just hanging out with the sand people.
Watching some pod racing.
He's just messing with the sand people the whole time.
They get scared really easily. But they come back in greater groups, and just 3 movies of him picking on sand people, and then they get more sand people, and it's just it's escalating for 3 movies.
Trolling sand people.
That's why they're so mean in episode 4.
Flipping Jawa sand crawlers.
Yeah.
They were nice before then.
Tipping banthas, stuff happens.
Just getting drunk and force pushing over cows or whatever Star Wars has for cows. I don't know.
That would be a movie I would watch.
I'd watch one movie of that and just be like, what is
those all.
happening here? But yeah, a trilogy. As long as it's not super over the top CGI, I'd still probably watch it, actually. So, Mike, you are a resident, knowledgeable person on the expanded.
I used to be, didn't I?
I'm
not bitter about that at all.
On the expanded universe, though,
You didn't waste your life.
that's the thing. I
Looking
want to
into
know
that,
what is he doing in the EU between the times? Do we have an idea?
I never got into that
Based
stuff.
on your expression, no.
That's the problem. Okay, so first of all, when I was really into Star Wars, it was around the time when the trilogy was all we had. And then once we got into prequels, I was getting older. I spent less and less time, for whatever reason, on Star Wars. So I honestly, I'm assuming that they did a lot of stuff. Like I learned some stuff about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon from before Episode 1, when he was very young in his apprenticeship with Qui-Gon. So I could flesh that out a little bit, but I have little to no knowledge of what the heck happened for Obi-Wan in between episodes 3 and 4. So
Apparently, in the Star Wars Rebels cartoon, he's shown up once or twice.
okay,
Yeah. So
nice.
And that is
they're talking
canon.
about it. Yeah, that is
Yep.
canon. So
Well, that would be interesting to watch.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, do you know if there's any books or anything like that on what he did, or is that kind of left open?
There's got to be, but I'm not sure. I would assume that they're in the Legends category now, so it's anybody's guess as to what could actually happen. So I'd say probably the only thing you have now is the Rebels stuff. Yeah.
I mean, technically, it does not matter what's happening in the expanded universe, but that being said, they are taking. It does seem like they're taking some cues, and holding them very loosely and bringing them into, even the new movie here. And we'll touch base on that later. Just so you guys know, anybody that's listening, we're going to get into some pretty deep spoilers. So I'll let you know at that time when we're going to start actually talking about that stuff. So if you want to tune us out, but we figured it was released on the 17th.
Yeah, we're a good 3-4 weeks out now.
We're 3 weeks out now. So I mean, this was the biggest, domestic biggest movie of all time, and it did it in 3 weeks. So if you hadn't seen it, shame on you.
exactly.
I saw it thrice.
Nice.
So I'm going to go into some Netflix things just because basically Netflix is getting bigger and bigger. I mean,
Yeah,
and what they're doing with their own series has just been incredible.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ones that I have not watched because they have like their top tier, and then they have like their B ones that I just don't care about.
And then they have Adam Sandler movies.
Yes. Do not watch
Yeah.
The Ridiculous Six. Do not do it. I watched it for you. Take my advice. Just go shovel snow. Oh, that was my phone.
Just go blow it up, apparently,
Yeah.
too.
just go
To be fair,
blow up
though,
your television.
to be fair, I did tell you to not watch that before you watched that. So
Yeah, but I'm doing it for the people, Mike.
take one for the team.
Yes.
That's very noble of you.
So Netflix is having. Well, I'm just reading this article. 13 new Netflix shows, or 13 new Netflix originals you should be watching in 2016. So I'll just kind of give you guys an overview of what these are about and let me know if you're at all interested. I went through it already. I mean, there's a lot of shows that are having season 2s in 2016, such as Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yes, finally.
And then Daredevil.
Yes.
Those two are probably the most... Daredevil, I was just,
Hilarious.
gut laughing for most of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious.
Matt
Those fight
Murdock.
scenes.
my.
Those scenes where he almost dies are just hilarious. And that scene where Kingpin, basically crushes a guy's head. Hilarious. Sorry, spoilers. I should say that beforehand, maybe. Anyways, so very excited about that. Daredevil season 2 is coming out March 18th, I believe we said, at 12:01 p.m. So a.m. Yes,
Like
you
the
are
first
correct.
of the morning.
Yes, right away in the morning. That's just mean, I feel like. You're just begging for people to miss work that next day. Just like when they release video games and have the midnight releasings. It's like,
true.
I guess I'm taking off of work tomorrow.
What?
Binge
Star Wars is
watching
coming out on
Daredevil.
Thursday? Who's coming to work on Friday?
Yeah, exactly. I'm very excited about that.
I
We
went to
we
work on
discussed a
Friday.
little bit off air, I guess, if you can call what we talk about off the show off air. About
Yeah, you can do
there's-
that.
There's not really, we don't really know of a villain in the new Daredevil. Punisher is going to be kind of an anti-villain or anti-hero.
Yeah. If he was an
Anti-hero.
anti-villain,
Yes.
he would be.
Well, anti-hero. It kind of can be the same thing.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know who Punisher is basically a superhero for all practical purposes. Well, he's not a superhero. He's a guy who goes out and kills bad guys
A
and
vigilante.
doesn't care that he
Yes.
kills them. So, where you have restraint on, say, the Batman trilogy we just watched on the movies with Christopher Nolan, he didn't want to kill people. Punisher is the exact opposite of that. He doesn't give a crap. Like, he'd rather have them all die so that they wouldn't be able to hurt anybody else anymore.
Yes.
So he's, if you're saying he's on the good side, then sure, yeah, he's a good guy. But, he kills people like bad guys.
And it's not like
It's kind of like Deadpool.
uses guns but tries to bring people in. He's actively just trying to kill those guys.
And
It's
he's
not
very
even-
good at it too.
Yes,
yeah.
he's extremely good. Him and Deadpool have both killed the Marvel universe in one timeline or another.
Oh, I didn't know
So yeah, Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, and the Punisher kills the Marvel universe.
Yep.
And I should just stop talking. Anyways, continuing. So we got some shows coming out. We have the first one. I'm not going to touch on all these because some of them, whatever. The first one on here that I'll touch base on is something that we're probably all familiar with. Anyone who's, in their 20s is Full House. So they are rebooting it with all the original cast members minus the Olsen twins. They did try to get Elizabeth Olsen to come on board, though, and I don't think that worked out. So I don't know what the situation is going to be there. Did you guys get into those kind of shows back when you were kids?
I actually did.
Yeah.
Because I had a mom and a sister, and I didn't have any brothers, so they were watching it. So I watched a lot of Full House and a lot of Little House on the Prairie. But we're gonna focus on Full House right now. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was funny. Like Kimmy Gibbler and Uncle Joey were really funny. So I thought it was a good show. I'd be interested to see how I would react to it now that I'm adult. But yeah, it would be really interesting to see. It looks like they're doing a really good job, at least with a good premise into this Fuller House episode. So we'll see what they do with it. But I think it looks promising. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Growing up, I watched Full House. Absolutely. I was
Nice.
just wondering what age demographic this show is going to try to reach. If it's going to try to obviously appeal to fans that grew up with it, but the show kind of was for younger audiences. I mean, it was wholesome entertainment, and one could really watch it. But I guess you would say it's more of a kids show.
Well, if you have Bob Saget in the crew, then I don't know. It could go either way.
Bob
But he was
Saget
so
did
vanilla.
a lot of things.
Not in stand-up.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Full
the
House he
thing.
was.
And he did America's Funniest Home Videos for
Yeah,
years
that's
too.
fair.
So that's
Yep.
actually what I remember him more as the host of America's Funniest Home
Or
Videos.
older Ted Mosby. One of the two.
Yes. Yes, the voice. By the way, why? He's an adult
Yeah.
in the show. His voice isn't going to change
And
that
at the
much.
end, when he's allegedly finished telling the story,
It's
then
still him.
No, it's Ted voice then.
Yeah, exactly.
He's sitting there with his kids. It's not like they put Bob Saget into Ted's.
Was Bob
knows?
Saget like a friend of the creator of the show or something? Like, hey, you want a job?
I don't know.
Yes, please.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. That always bothered me.
Yeah.
Love that show, but that bothered me. So
Silly Bob.
I didn't
The
watch
whole last season.
I know, like, I think my sister got into Full House more, but I have two brothers. I watched Fresh Prince and Saved by the Bell, and for some reason, Family Matters was really big in my house.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just like, and
Well, they're
Steve,
kind of like in the same
and
sort of
Steve Urkel.
category of show.
That show,
more or
well,
less.
it was TGIF back in the day on ABC. And they had just this lineup of shows like that. I don't know what all the shows, what station they were on, but we only got like 8 stations when I was a kid. So
Oh yeah, amen to that.
Friday night was the best for television. That's when all the good shows were on, and that's what was on. That show got progressively weirder as
Which
Family
one?
Matters, because it's like it was.
I don't recall.
Well, Steve Urkel was a genius, and he made a clone of himself, and then, the clone was cooler.
Oh,
And-
wasn't that in the movies or was that in the show?
No, that was in the show.
Oh, I thought that was
like
the
it
movie.
was a fairly normal show, except for like plot points that he was in. It's like, yeah, he made a clone of himself that was like super cool, and it was weird. I don't know where that show really ended up. All I know is the dad was a cop. It was a fairly interesting show. Anyways, moving on. So we're gonna continue with the Defenders, apparently with Luke Cage coming out later this
yeah.
year. So Daredevil was very good. Jessica Jones was good as well, but it wasn't as good as Daredevil in my opinion. I liked Luke Cage's character in Jessica Jones a lot. So
Yeah.
what are you guys thinking about that? And how that's going to play out with the actual Defenders show, with them all coming together.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like with Avengers. I mean, the first Avengers, they did it really well, balancing all those different characters at the same time within the realm of a 2-hour, 3-hour movie. Age of Ultron, they tried to go a couple different ways, and I don't feel like they tied it in as well together, very neatly, compared to the first Avengers. But with a TV show like Defenders, they actually have a chance to flesh out. Not only are a lot of these characters already established with their own movies, but then, you have an entire season of TV to flesh out a plot line. And it seems like they've done a really good job, kind of like we were talking about before, of making villains in these last couple Marvel TV shows. So, I'm excited to see. It all depends on what the premise of the story is. It all depends on who the bad guy is and, what the context is for them kind of teaming up to become the Avengers, because it seems like they're all very independent people.
Yeah.
They're very secretive. They don't want other people to know who they are or that they're super powered. So yeah, it just depends on how you set that up. But I think this has a lot of potential. Yeah, especially considering how much time they have to flesh out the story.
Well, that's the great thing is they are able to develop. I mean, they're going to develop 3 out of the 4 of them.
Because Iron Fist is the last one, right?
Iron Fist is the last one.
Does he
I
get
think
his own show?
Last I heard they were moving
they
forward
were kind
with
of
it.
flip-floppy on it, though.
Last I heard they were going for it.
They were
like
pancaking on it a little bit, just
Yeah.
because Iron Fist is not very well known.
No.
But I mean, I know him
Neither is
from.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I was gonna say it.
I know him from. If you watch Ultimate Spider-Man, which I'm sure been seen. You've seen me
few
watch it a little
episodes.
bit, Mike.
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man has the Defenders, and they're all very young. They're in high school, so this is what Marvel does. They'll take people at all different ages, but it's got Iron Fist and it's got Power Man, Luke Cage in it. But yeah, and then a couple others. So I know him from that, but other than that, I had never really heard him. I know he's like the most skilled ninja in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, he's very rich. Is it Daniel Rand? I think is his name.
I'm not really
or
familiar
Raid or
with
something.
Daniel,
Fist
I know
at all.
his first name's Daniel.
Yeah.
That does sound familiar.
But yeah, he's very rich. He's kind of like a Batman type. So from what I know.
Yeah, and he's mastered certain ninjutsu, whatever
course
you want
he
to call it.
Of course he has.
Get
Yes.
Fist of Iron.
He's very powerful. But yeah, I think the reason is people got so excited about John Berthal's Punisher and Daredevil that they actually Marvel was debating, okay, should we do a Punisher show with John Berthal? Because people are really stoked about it. Punisher is a very popular character.
Yeah.
Interesting. I haven't
So
heard that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too, is that they have
Why not
complete
both?
control over the Marvel TV universe. It's the same team working on all the different shows. So, I mean, just look at Luke Cage. He was in Jessica Jones for a bit. Now he's getting his own series. Then he's going to be in Defenders. So, I mean, you could throw John Berthal's Punisher into all the rest of the TV shows if you want to. Like, they can connect these a lot tighter as they go along if they want to. Whatever they want, they can do.
that's the crazy thing is if you did do a Punisher one, I mean, these have been dark, but that would be awfully dark if
Yeah.
you did a Punisher origin
Yeah.
story with him. Because, I mean, if you guys don't know, essentially he's a cop that becomes the Punisher after his entire family's killed by the mob. So, he's a little bitter about that. He's holding on to things a little bit, and he takes it out by shooting people. So, normal stuff. So I really liked I don't know his name. I should really research these things, but the guy who plays Luke Cage. It was kind of
I
weird.
can't remember.
In Jessica Jones, he's like in a few episodes and then he's gone for a really long time, and you're like, where the heck did he go? And then he's kind of back
Taking care of his
and,
own business.
and it kind of
Filming his
Told
own
you they're
show.
independent people.
yeah. So
That's true.
So it's all over the place. I'm very interested to see. Just touch on 2 more things that Netflix is coming out with, a couple comedies. Will Arnett is developing a show with the guys, at least one producer, it looks like, from Arrested Development. And so apparently just a really short synopsis is it follows Chip, I'm assuming that's Will Arnett, a self-help guru who struggles to stay ahead of his own lies. So if it's really deadpan like the original 3 seasons of Arrested Development and has a lot of throwback comedy, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I'm not the hugest fan of Will Arnett, but he has done some pretty funny stuff.
He's had a couple of series though that never really get past 1 season.
Yeah.
It's like him and the dude that played Chandler in Friends. They can never seem to have a show that lasts.
There's a lot of there. Yeah, I mean,
you like BoJack Horseman, didn't you?
it was good. It wasn't my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I don't even know what to classify that kind of comedy as, though. I mean,
I don't understand
it's just
some of
kind of
those.
awkward. Like he's just super depressed style of humor. If that can be funny,
like
I guess.
CK kind of sort of just really
Yeah,
cynical
where he's
and
just
dry.
yes, he is super cynical, and it's a dry, sarcastic humor, and yeah, it's his life's just super depressing, and they make jokes about it. So I doubt this is gonna be. I got a feeling this is gonna be just more deadpan throwback comedy if it's gonna be anything like Arrested Development. So interesting about that. A lot of these don't have a lot of details. This one that I'm actually probably the most excited about. It's bringing back.
What's it called?
This one's called The Ranch. They're bringing back a couple of that '70s show vets in Ashton Kutcher and
The dude that played the guy with the glasses.
Yes.
And the frizzy hair. I don't remember anyone's name
that
for that
guy.
show.
Danny Masterson. There it is.
Okay.
The stoner guy.
Yep. I
Yep.
remember you talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't seen too much of that.
He
Me neither, but
he
I know the
never
stoner
really
guy.
took off. The rest of I feel like him and Wilmer Valderrama. Is that his name? Yeah.
Bless you.
The guy that played Fez. Like those two were the ones that never really took off from that show. All the other actors have made pretty decent careers for themselves, it seems like. Specifically Mila Kunis. Topher Grace has been a side character in a lot of different stuff. Anyways, so they apparently it's about a retired semi-pro football player who comes back home to tend his parents' ranch or something like that.
Huh.
And
Okay.
I'm interested. Who out of those two would you think is a semi-professional football player? Because I wouldn't pick either of them, to be honest, unless they have like Ashton Kutcher as like a quarterback, a retired quarterback or something like that.
Be an athlete.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
one of them will beef up like Carrot Top did.
I really maybe.
That'd be
I really
scary.
like that '70s show though. Kelso was an idiot, and I loved it. And I have a hard time actually getting past Ashton Kutcher playing any other character because I did watch so much of that '70s show in high school. I just see him as an idiot, just
That could be hard.
idiot ladies man. That's
for-
and that's what he was in 2.5 Men though as well. He basically played the same character. I only watched a handful of episodes of that.
Never saw it.
Yeah, when he took over, but yeah, he was basically the same character. So don't have a lot of details on those. Those are ones that I'm interested in. Anyways, that's going to wrap up kind of our new segment and what's kind of happened here for Netflix in 2016. So we're going to get into kind of our Star Wars overview and review of The Force Awakens. Multiple
good.
spoilers to come.
So watch out.
Spoilers everywhere.
Seriously, if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
So I'm just going to let Mike talk now.
Well, I mean, we should have some kind of structure with this. So let's go with like pros and cons. Like each of us give a pro and a con that we liked from the movie, and then we'll kind of get into maybe further details or kind of flesh those out a little bit. So
I can do that. I'm
Okay.
definitely up for that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll go first since I suggested it. I'm probably the most prepared. Honestly, I don't know how in depth you guys want to get into these pros and cons at first, but honestly, one of the biggest shockers for me was BB-8. The fact that I love BB-8. Such a good
Ooh,
character.
that's my BB-8
That was
right there.
great.
That was good.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Okay,
Contact
first
Bill
of all,
Hader.
first of all, for everybody who doesn't know, you should know that
we
Bill
should.
Hader and the guy
John
who played
Ralphio.
John Ralphio from Parks and Rec created BB-8's voice on like a MacBook Pro, and that's it.
So
like,
just
that's,
super nerds, which we can talk about some
But
of the
that's awesome.
cameo appearances that were
Oh,
in that
yeah.
movie. But
Yeah.
let's
but I mean, coming from the guy who didn't really get why there was such a big deal around R2 and C-3PO. I never liked those characters. Like I thought, I liked Luke, I like Leia, I like all the other characters
I liked
way more.
R2.
They just felt like they were
C-3PO.
sitting there, and then they made R2 fly, and it was just weird.
That was stupid.
Yeah,
I didn't
but
like that.
I mean, BB-8, there was so much like product development and stuff like that before the movie even came out. And I was just like, man, am I gonna hate this character so much? I didn't even like the original droids, but I love BB-8. BB-8 was so funny, so full of like they developed the character so well, and you can say develop the character because BB-8 has a great personality, funny things that happen to BB-8. I don't know whether they call it a guy or a girl. I don't know. Just BB-8. Funny things happen to BB-8, and I think it took about 10 seconds for BB-8 to be on the screen when you connected to him on an emotional level. It was great. So I thought they did a really good job with BB-8. Really good job with that. And a con that I would say, I mean, we can talk about this more when we get into the discussion, but Starkiller Super Laser shot a bunch of planets and I didn't care. And I feel like,
and I
legitimately,
and I didn't care.
They did a fairly good job of kind of setting up Alderaan in New Hope before it got destroyed by the Death Star, but they didn't really do a good job fleshing out like even the relationship between the Rebel Alliance and the Resistance and the New Republic and the First Order and everything that was going on in the galaxy before this movie took place. Now apparently they're fleshed out in like TV shows or books or anything like that. That's fine. But, from a standard person who went out and viewed the movie like myself, I have no idea what's going on. I was like, I don't care. Like I saw about 20 people in that little shot. They looked up. Yeah, they looked like they were disappointed. But then,
shucks.
Darn it.
I was going to go to the mall later.
But, I mean, multiple planets got completely obliterated. And I did
4.
not care. I think it was 5, technically, but I don't know.
That's why I said at least.
Yeah, exactly. Do we know how many planets got destroyed?
Who's keeping
Shows
track?
how much we care. So I think they didn't do a good job of, it could have. I know that they only have a specific amount of time. The movie did a whole bunch, so no fault of theirs. But there could have been a couple lines or even some part of the crawl at the beginning of the movie saying, "This is the state of affairs in the universe. Go." So,
they wanted to stay away from the politics as
yeah,
much as possible.
and they kept it simple. That was totally fine. But for me, I didn't connect to it on an emotional level. So that really just kind of dampened the impact of that scene for me. So,
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Sure. Yeah, Pro's BB-8 was awesome. Along those lines,
I can't steal my Pro.
I won't. But just how much I enjoyed the new characters that they introduced. Like,
Yeah.
They
Seriously.
spent one movie, and it feels like we've known those characters since Star Wars has been released. You're like, I want to know more about these characters. I think they're great. Where do they come from? Where are they going? And the fun part is we don't know. Like the prequels, we knew, Anakin was going to become Darth Vader. Obi-Wan eventually will die, so on and so forth. But these new characters, you don't know anything about them. Finn in particular, it's really cool seeing a stormtrooper and where they come from and their training, and I'm sure it's a little bit different than the past with the clone army and all that, but I thought he was a really interesting character. And then to have a strong female lead as well. Leia in the originals was a strong female lead, and it's cool to see that again with Rey. Khan, again with not knowing who the Republic really is and the New Order and why I should care. The fact that the First Order decided to build another Death Star. They're always putting all their eggs in one basket every time. And
You
they just
win again. You always do.
and they just get blown up.
Yep.
Like learn from the past. Just have multiple bases.
They're basically like, shucks.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I guess we'll build another one.
Yeah, it's
To
like,
all the Imperials, decentralize, figure it out.
exactly. It could be way more effective, but I mean, it was a cool planet, and it decimates other planets and sucks up stars, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, they killed 5 planets, so
or 4 or 6.
that's
who
more
knows?
than the Resistance
Maybe
can say they did.
Is that the
so.
first time they fired that thing?
I think
Or has
so.
it been fired before?
It seemed like it. I mean,
Maybe.
unless he makes a big speech right before they fire it every time. It's like, dang it.
True.
Wait. Is that guy going to give another speech again?
Maybe.
It they're going to fire the super
maybe
laser
depends
again.
on the planet they're
I never
destroying.
get to see the speeches. I always have to fire the dang laser.
Exactly.
Just super
Can't we
ticked.
live stream this or something?
What year is this? Do we not have video recording? Which, have you ever seen a television in Star Wars, by the way? Or like
No.
a video screen?
Video monitors.
I mean, there's...
Video monitors? I don't.
Because even
think
in the war
so.
room of the
Yeah, I don't think
rebellion
so.
or whatever we're calling them now.
Once in Return of the Jedi, when Han and Leia take over that bunker. There's a
video feed. Yep.
Exactly, there's a video feed where they contacted people on the outside saying, "Hey, we made it in," or something.
So
Han
we
put the
know
comm
they
in
have
front.
the
They have
techno-
video technology.
They have the technology.
It exists somewhere, but it's pretty crap.
It
technology
looks
gets-
terrible.
Didn't have color. I don't even think.
That was a small point that I actually really enjoyed, because that's a problem you run into with a lot of movies, that you go from, this was made in the 70s, and their idea of fantastic technology in the 70s is going to be a lot different than what we think it is now. So when they popped up, when Finn's sitting in the gunner seat, and they popped up the screen, and the screen was still pretty rudimentary, and with the squares and the boxes, it looked a little better, but it was still pretty basic. I really like that. But overall, pros, like you guys said about the characters, but not even so much for me about the individual characters, but how well the new characters meshed, and how well
absolutely.
the just, I really felt like Finn's attachment to Rey, like first female you've probably
He was
seen
crushing
that,
on her for a long
Yeah.
time. He's probably only seen Phasma
and,
before that.
Yeah, exactly. And how often do you even see if there are other, female stormtroopers?
It's like, I can't tell.
It's like, how often you see them without their helmets on, because apparently it's a big deal that you keep it on. So
they're still in a mission.
So just how they really connected, and how he's trying to hold her hand that entire
Stop it.
So I really loved,
funny.
I did really love Rey as well. I'm trying to think. Khan. Sorry.
I didn't do it though. Wrong one.
Wrong
Star
series.
Trek.
It's not so much as a con, it's just something that really bugs me, of just how much they did try to fit into 2 hours. So, and that it is basically a carbon copy of Star Wars that we've seen in the past. It's just
It's like the greatest hits of
Yeah.
Star Wars a little bit.
And I've talked to several people about this. It's very apparent to me that J.J. Abrams, one of his biggest goals was to not piss people off. He's like, we're not going to take a lot of risks.
Yeah.
We're going to do this pretty simple. It's going to be fairly similar to what you've seen before. And it's like, now people really like it. They're really back into it. I mean, we're talking, everything I've seen is 4 to 5 stars. Most people are giving this on a 10-point scale, like 8s, 9s, 10s. This was certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It's been
There you go.
very well received by critics and fan base alike. So I think they're going to start taking more risks in the future now with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it did bug me that they did try to fit so much in that time period. It was 2 hours and 15 minutes, and situations just seemed to be resolved a lot of the time. The Starkiller base just being destroyed seemed a very quick resolution.
Oh yeah.
Where'd Poe go? Off
Yeah.
of Jakku.
Yeah.
Like, he
Gotta
was just like,
rescue
I gotta
BB-8.
rescue BB-8. And then he's just like, well, whatever.
Finn will take care of it.
I think I've heard that the novelization actually fleshed out a little bit of how he got off of Jakku. So
Well, it's not so much that he got off of Jakku, is
He didn't come back.
do we know, was he there for a while trying to search? I mean, it's an entire planet. You'd think he would be there for a while.
Maybe he heard that
Well,
the
let's be
BB-8
honest.
was someone else.
well, it seems like he's a very, well-known resistance fighter. So I'm sure he knew if there were like resistance cells on Jakku or something like that. It was the scene of a big battle before, so maybe there were some sympathizers that he knew of on the planet, or he knew who to get in contact with, and they were able to get him transport off the planet. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
He seems like he's a very streetwise guy. So I'm
Streetwise.
figure
Yes.
he could figure out how to
Get
get
it.
back to the base anyways.
I suppose
That's true.
it's just like that. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Though. Just really quick resolution on stuff.
It was easy, yeah.
And just how easy, especially like Han and Chewie just come across. Yeah, they were just floating outside of Jakku or wherever. They didn't go into hyperspace
Right.
outside of Jakku. They're just flying around. And even if they would have gone into hyperspace, what's the likelihood of them coming out of hyperspace?
He did
right
make a
there?
comment, though, about saying how he was able to track the Millennium Falcon. He's like, well, if we can track it, then I'm sure the First Order can, too.
That's
so
fair.
it kind of sounds like he was looking for it in between jobs,
How
or like
far
was
does
actively...
tracking go? I can't imagine you can track across.
Well, because
you know,
there was sort of a
light years.
timeline or a history of who had taken it from who.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this guy got it from this guy, so maybe he's been.
So yeah,
sort of
he probably had a
following the
general
story.
idea
Seemed like
of
they were searching
where.
for it too.
No, you're right. He because he even mentions we should have checked there on Jakku.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he did have a general idea of where it was probably
The
located.
galaxy.
So I mean
Yeah.
that's a good point, but it's still it's still a galaxy.
That's true.
It is still a galaxy. You are correct.
You are
You are
correct, sir.
correct. Yep.
All right. Well, I guess the next thing I would think about going into is how this movie does correlate to what we knew previously from like the expanded universe. So there are some very loosely held correlations of sons and daughters specifically.
Oh, yep.
The names aren't the same and the stories aren't exactly the same. But here's the big spoiler. Kylo Ren is Leia and Han's son. So I mean,
Dun, dun.
in the expanded universe, as Mike's told me, they did have a son there, and he did turn to the dark side as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, Jason. Yep.
So I mean, there is some correlation there. So how do you guys feel about that reveal?
First of all, I wanted to clarify. I called it when I said that, he was going to be Han and Leia's kid.
Well, mark one
said-
up for Mike.
So if Rey is Luke's kid, then I have a perfect 2 for 2 because I said that they would be cousins. But we'll see.
I'm pretty convinced that Rey's Luke's.
Nope.
We can talk about that in a second.
Yep.
So you said how do we like the kind of tying that together?
Yep. How do you? Because this is kind of a problem for me as well. I like it. I think it's a cool reveal.
Yeah.
But it comes back to this is one family that's just
Yeah.
effing up the galaxy basically with
Right.
their drama.
Right.
It's just like
More or less.
it's like you guys get your crap together.
Right.
Get your drama.
Yeah, and I think that points back to my biggest reason why I think that Rey is actually Luke's kid is because the Star Wars movies, the movies themselves, have always been about the Skywalker family. And, we've had heroes here and there surrounding the Skywalker family, like Obi-Wan or people like that, who have been very pivotal role players. But, it started with Anakin, and then it moved into his son Luke. And now I think it's going to really become a Rey and Kylo show. And I think that they're
With
both
Finn on the side.
Skywalkers. Yeah. I mean, you can have Finn and Poe and, Chewie and all those other people surrounding. But I think at the center of the story will probably always be a Skywalker. Now, I mean, especially with the expanded universe books back in the day, anybody could be born with Force powers. High or low, whatever it is. I mean, obviously Anakin was the outlier because he was the, Force conception or whatever you want to call it. But, which would suggest that the Skywalkers are very strong in the Force. But, anybody can. It's just like in Harry Potter with the
everyone's-
wizards. Anybody can be magic,
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, even if you're muggle born.
Exactly.
Hermione,
Yeah, like Hermione.
was muggle born.
Yep.
That
She was a mudblood.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like,
Can't say that.
the hints that they dropped with Rey and everything like that, it just seems like she is a Skywalker. And,
Agreed.
that's why I'm fine with
They have dropped
Kylo
some
being Han and Leia's kid, is because it ties it more into the family. And it does tie it into the family affair and just like stop effing up the galaxy. But
Quit it.
You know,
Just everybody else.
I
Quit
thought,
it.
Whereas we had a very dark turned very redeemable Darth Vader, from the get-go now we have a very redeemable Kylo Ren. And a lot of people are
I
pissed
think he'll
off
come
that he
back.
killed Han, but at the same time, like, he is so on the fence as far as dark and light side.
Oh.
Sounds like
I
Snoke's
wouldn't
trying
say
to
he's
draw him
on the
back in.
fence.
It sounds like he is.
No, I'm just saying he's well into the dark side, but he plays catch with the other side.
He was trying to pump
He's
himself up
tossing
in
the
front of the
ball.
Darth Vader mask, being like, I can't turn to the light side, can't turn to the light side, I feel the pull,
I'm just saying currently he's on
Yeah.
the dark side. He's
as
on
of
the
the
dark
end of the
side.
movie.
He's at least close enough where he can play catch with
You know,
somebody.
like I'm
on our
saying,
side.
he's playing catch
Yeah.
with somebody.
Metaphors.
I don't know who. Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that he's a very compelling character. I mean, you could reference like the emo Kylo Ren Twitter feed that I think is hilarious,
Funny.
so good.
That is
I'm
pretty
so happy
clever.
I found that. But he's obviously not as emo as that or other memes would portray. But I think he's a very interesting, very conflicted character, and I really want to see where they flesh him out. So I think it makes his character very interesting to be part of the Skywalker family. I like it. That's good.
Me too.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I guess we'll do some debating here, Ben, because
Yeah.
I want to hear
We can
why
debate away.
why you don't think Rey is Luke's daughter.
So Zach, you
fully.
think that Rey is Luke's
Yeah,
daughter? Okay,
and I'll give you several reasons
Yeah.
why.
There's some compelling evidence.
it's true.
It's the second one, but go for it.
Okay,
She's
few
very well
things.
I'll give some points too if you need to.
few things.
We'll present our case.
From the beginning, the Skywalker family has not really come into their Force abilities until later in life.
I know they're always late bloomers.
They try. It's well known that you try to, get those kids early and develop them from a very early age. Even Anakin, Luke especially, but Anakin, they even talk about that in Episode 1 where he's too old. They can't do it. He's too old. Because of you get this
The emotions,
worldly
yeah.
sense and this attachment to people that leads to the dark side. So that's one of the things. Obviously, Rey, we assume she might have had some weird experiences early in life that she really couldn't explain, but she's really just like coming to the understanding that, oh, this is the Force, because they even say in The Force Awakens that it's been basically toned down. Like, people don't talk about it for one reason or another, because they actually ask Han, and Han, tells them that stuff's true. But the bigger things for me is Luke and Anakin were both natural pilots.
Yep.
And they were both naturally just knew how to build stuff and
Yeah,
put a
that's
lot of
very
things
true.
together.
That's very true.
So, and that's two qualities that Rey possesses as well. Is just that natural, the natural piloting ability and the interests in droids and, putting things together and taking things apart.
Yep.
So
That's very true.
That's the biggest thing for me, outside of the fact that Luke's original lightsaber, because that's his original lightsaber, not the one that's Anakin's lightsaber,
Right.
that he lost. That was lost, and we really don't know how it was found when he got his
somehow in Cloud
hand cut
City.
off.
Yep.
And so that was the original one called to her. So those are my biggest things.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I think that one of the big things for me is just that I lost my train of thought now. Shoot. Shouldn't have mentioned the Cloud City thing.
Cloud City.
Dang it.
Just fogging your mind.
I know, right? There's too many clouds up there.
It's
Well,
true.
Ben, you
issue.
can rebuttal if you'd like, and then Mike can.
Oh, sure.
Take
I'll
it
figure
from
it out
there.
eventually.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a compelling argument, and I could definitely see how she could be his daughter, and I wouldn't be upset if that was the case.
Figure it out.
But there was a couple things that I read, and some things that would be cool if she was the granddaughter of Obi-Wan, because she couldn't be his daughter. She'd be much older. One of the first ones is when she has the flashback. It's Obi-Wan's voice that she hears.
Yeah.
He calls out to her twice. He says, "Rey," and then he goes, "These are your first steps." Like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. One that's really not as strong as of a case, but they both have British accents. No one else on Star Wars has British accents.
I never thought of that.
Obi-Wan and
Oh
Rey.
my goodness.
It's not like a huge thing, but really they're the only two that do.
So it's kind of like with the topography of the planets, like there's an entire British planet somewhere in the galaxy. That'd be awesome.
Maybe, or only Obi-Wan.
The Star Wars universe is super racist. It just like segregates
Maybe.
people into their own planets.
Maybe. But on some other notes, I think it would be too easy if Rey was Luke's daughter. And one, too, like, why would he abandon his daughter on a planet? Like, if Kylo was able to train, why wouldn't they train Rey? And I'm sure there's some reasons you could put in there. Like, why wouldn't she remember Luke? She's like, oh, is Luke a real person?
I have some theories. for
Unless
that,
she's been
actually.
mind wiped.
That's what a lot of people are saying, yeah.
But what would be cool? Yes, mind wipe. And I have another point about
The
that.
Men in Black little thing.
Oh gosh. I think it would be interesting having the dynamic change of, Obi-Wan trained Luke, and Anakin, but then to have Luke, a Skywalker, then train a Kenobi. A Kenobi. So sort of that play of now the students of the Master is now teaching the next one in line, if that makes sense.
That's
As
pretty
opposed
cool.
to, I'm just training my daughter, but now it's, hey, Obi-Wan put so much into me, he spent so much time training me, or enough, now I'm training his granddaughter. So a sort of switching of roles, I think, would be really interesting to see. If I'm not standing close enough to this.
Oh, you're good.
And then another really interesting point I read is a lot of parallels between Rey and Obi-Wan. There's a lot between Luke as well, like the pilot and the tinkering with things. But a couple things they pointed out was her ability to use mind tricks really well. Like that's I think Obi-Wan, that's sort of his trademark move is the Jedi mind trick, and the fact like that's sort of the first Force move she does on Daniel Craig, which is awesome. Comedic timing is brilliant.
And then I will drop my blaster.
And I will drop my blaster. And then another parallel they sort of pointed out is how Rey is sort of sneaking around Starkiller Base is very similar to how Obi-Wan snuck around the first Death Star.
That's fair.
If you remember.
Yeah.
And how they don't really ever mention Obi-Wan at all in The Force Awakens, which is weird. So kind of saying, hey, here's some little hints that kind of, here's your Obi-Wan for this movie. And as far as a lightsaber goes, Obi-Wan had it longer than either Skywalkers did. He had it longer than Anakin and Luke combined in the desert. He's just holding on. So like that lightsaber's as much his as it is theirs, minus the fact that Anakin made it supposedly or whatever. But yeah, so there's arguments either way, but I think it would just be more interesting if Rey
That would be
That's
a
some
big
really
reveal.
good stuff.
Yeah, that
I like
would
that.
be. No, I think you make a lot of good points that I hadn't thought about.
You make
So,
good points.
Good
points.
Good stuff, Ben.
Yeah.
I
Good
knew.
thoughts.
I knew I brought you on here for a reason.
No, that's great. No, and it's true. I mean, and you can bring that Force ability parallel back to Kylo Ren and Darth Vader, because you saw in Cloud City, Darth Vader blocked all the blaster bolts that Han was shooting at him when they were, we'd be honored if you join us for dinner or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
When he was
Yeah.
at Boba
That's
Fett,
right.
and
When
then
Boba
Kylo
Fett's
Ren
just
straight up
chilling.
holds
That
the
was
blaster bolt in
badass.
place, which that was like top 5 moments in the movie for me. That was amazing. Just like,
Yeah.
that was fantastic.
Force
What's
stop.
happening?
That would be a really cool role reversal. Those are some really good points. I'm slightly more convinced that she might have the ability to be
Agreed.
It's true,
Obi-Wan's.
and it's really Obi-Wan and Darth Vader that have been at it.
Yeah.
I mean, when he strikes him down, they're fighting each other. It's Obi-Wan that cuts off Anakin's limbs. Like, those two have been at it
Yeah.
for a long while.
It's true. So I think that I feel like the biggest thing that the movie is telling us is that Rey is not a nobody. They drop so many hints, like as soon as Rey goes back when they're at Maz Kanata's palace, and she goes after Finn because he's trying to leave because he's like, I'm a stormtrooper. Maz Kanata immediately turns to Han, and she's like, "Who's the girl?" And there's just I forget what the other ones are, but there were just a couple hints like that were dropped in the movie, and even I think in the novelization, I heard that Snoke said something to Kylo Ren like, if the girl is who you think she is, then you should bring her to me, or something like that. So I think she's a very important player in this whole thing. And I don't think it's going to be some random like, oh, it's Plo Koon from the Jedi Council. It's his, plus he's an alien and she's not. But, I don't think that it's going to be some random person's kid. I really don't. I think it's going to be tied in somehow. And Obi-Wan fits that mold really well, especially considering if we get a trilogy. Yeah,
Why would
you
they
might
wanna
see him hook up
flesh
with
it
some
out?
other Force person, or
Well, hello.
maybe he
Hello.
meets up with Shmi Skywalker, and that's why she's so powerful. I don't know. I don't know.
Stop it.
That was weird.
Quit it. Just stop.
So you never know. I mean, we don't know what happened to Obi-Wan in all those years. So
Yeah, he's just bumming around.
maybe he wasn't.
Pushing over
messing
sand
with sand people the whole
cows.
time. Exactly.
Whatever those dinosaur-looking things are.
Banthas. And it was
Whatever those long-necked
Oh.
dinosaur-looking things are.
that was a crate dragon.
Whatever those
Yeah, that was
furry
it.
elephant-looking things are.
Which ones?
Furry
Those are the Banthas. That's what I just said.
Those
Are you
don't. I said they look like dinosaurs,
well,
Mike.
those are the Dubeks.
There you go.
I know all the different things. Don't try to mess me up. The big long neck one that was in the Mos Eisley that
Yeah.
almost got hit by that speeder bike. That's
That's
actually
the one
a
I was
swoop.
talking about.
Sorry,
Jeez,
that
why
was
don't
a
you know
Ronto.
what I'm saying when
Because
I'm
you just say
describing
dinosaur
The
thing.
Brontosaurus.
There's you could have been
Brontosaurus one.
talking about the asteroid slug for all I know. I missed another one. Let's get some Chinese food, yeah?
Yeah. What do you think? Like
never
3
saw
million
that
tons of fried rice. Anyways,
We're just going to eat him when he comes, right? Oh, it's cash then.
catch then. Please watch the Star Wars Robot
Some
Chicken.
of the Star Wars Robot Chicken.
Some of them are terrible. Other ones are awesome.
Most of them are terrible.
Let it go.
Some
then.
of them are hilarious.
Just let it go.
Stormtrooper.
All right, 2 other new characters I want to get into. I want to know what Finn's role is going to be in the upcoming movies, because Rey's kind of twofold. She's going to be the Jedi, and she's going to have control of the Millennium Falcon now. So she's basically taken Luke and Han roles and putting them together, essentially. So where does Finn come into this? He's got good comedic timing, which is fun, and obviously they're gonna flesh this out. But what does he bring to this situation? Because I've been trying to think about this. I really don't see what he is going to bring to this, because he's not a pilot.
Yeah.
He's
He's
been fairly uncertain of himself. Mike, yes, you. Yes,
I have a
there.
theory.
You that in the corner.
Let me spill my theory.
Yes,
From what
yes,
I've heard and what I've read and all this other stuff, I think it's most likely that obviously, he kind of had a crush on Rey at the beginning, as you can tell.
Had a crush on
you have
Rey.
a boyfriend? You have a cute boyfriend?
That was good.
But obviously Rey is going to be with loner Luke Skywalker for a while. I'm assuming she's
Chilling
not going
with Chewie.
She's not going to abandon him like Luke
That's what you
abandoned
could have
Yoda.
called the podcast.
Well,
Chilling with Chewie.
Chilling with Chewie. And let's be honest, she's going to stick around with Luke because that's a nice, beautiful island planet. Whereas Luke didn't want to stick around with Yoda because, number one, he was creepy and weird.
Yeah,
he made terrible jokes, and he was living in a swamp.
Oh.
So, whatever.
Seriously,
And a
Yoda.
tiny
But anyways,
house.
so that's not going to be he's not going to have a very romantic relationship with Rey, at least in the next one, I don't think. What I think is going to happen, that since Finn is an old school, like he used to be a stormtrooper, apparently has some kind of knowledge.
That's not how you use
with
the Force.
stuff. Exactly. Well, apparently he has some kind of knowledge with either the stormtrooper ranks or how the First Order operates, or maybe some things they're planning. Who knows? He knew about Starkiller Base and how to disrupt the shield. Well,
He was
didn't
a
really
space
know how to
janitor.
disrupt the shields, but yeah, he knew about the different, because he worked in sanitation. He knew something about the inner workings of the First Order. I honestly think, from the chemistry that him and Poe had at the beginning, I think they're going to team up and do kind of like covert ops, something like that. Because although Poe looks super BA in
Poe is
X-Wing
the
fighter,
most BA.
let's be honest.
Yeah,
I don't
he
think
was-
there's a more effective way for him to be around. It seems like him and Poe and Finn roaming around with like maybe a crack squad or something like that, just going around doing covert ops. Considering that the resistance is so small already, like I think that would be the perfect place, and then that would get rid of your Finn's not a pilot thing, because Poe's gonna fly them all around and provide air support
Well, that
while
being
they
said-
lead in some troops.
Oh yeah, that's
I think that would be a
Finn
great idea.
was very proficient
Yeah.
in combat, though.
Yep.
I will say
Yep.
that's definitely he did
Yeah.
stand out in that fashion. But that was the thing. I was just trying to think about, like, where does this connect? And I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea. I want to kill something really quick that's
Yeah.
been floating around the internet about
Kylo Ren is not Luke Skywalker.
or Jar Jar
surprise.
Binks. Or Jar Jar
Snoke could
Binks.
still be Jar Jar Binks. You don't know.
Somebody cut off
Cut
his
his
snout
ears.
then, and several other parts. But this
saw
has been
a hologram.
This has been floating around the internet a lot because the chemistry between Poe and Finn was so like off the charts immediately that there's not going to be a relationship there. They have confirmed that.
Oh, gotcha.
If you've been on the internet at all looking at this, they said that those two were going to be that was going to be like the new like twist, is they were going to hook up. It's just like, no, they killed that idea pretty quickly.
I honestly didn't pick up on any of that, so
no at all.
I don't think that would be the case.
This is the internet, though. The
But even
internet
still, like,
picks up on
I-
everything.
Couldn't see that at all.
Also, I feel like you'd have to really develop that to a certain extent. I don't know if they're going to bother with, reaching that far. Like, maybe they would do something like that in an anthology movie where they have less ground to cover and more just a singular story to tell, like stealing Death Star plans, whatever. But I don't think that would be the case.
That would take a lot to hash that out, just because. I mean, none of the Star Wars, the most romantic relationship we've had in Star Wars
Was
was
Luke and Leia? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was weird.
well, they already touched it.
They already touched on incest, I guess, so you never know. But also, I want to. I think that it would be a really compelling story for them to flesh out as well with Finn's relationship with the First Order, and just he did
Traitor!
betray his group, And, apparently 2 or 3 people were pissed about that. And it seems like him and Phasma had some kind of a relationship, not a relationship.
I really
but
hope they hash
Can I
her
chime
out
in
more.
one more
Yeah.
comment? The fact that she kind of blew chunks.
she was terrible.
Yeah, they set her up to
I'm
be
not
like
gonna
this
blame
awesome-
her though. I'm not gonna blame the character.
Right. Like
I'm gonna blame the
she's
writing
like a
on
Boba
that and the
Fett,
build.
Right, yeah. So hopefully in the next one she's got a chip on her shoulder and something to prove, but kind of an underused character.
Okay, but at the same time, remember, from what I read, like, J.J. Abrams did say, like, hey, it's kind of like a Boba Fett of the new.
Yeah,
don't
but
really
Boba
see
Fett
him.
was
you look
BA.
really cool. No.
Not in the first one.
It would be
He
like,
was a
hey,
huge
weren't
fan.
the
looks really
first one.
cool, but really
This is
gets
true, I wasn't.
screwed over in really random and stupid ways. Like, hey, he got his jetpack hit, so he's dead.
It falls
Allegedly,
into a pit.
so it's just
Or not.
It's just like
Who knows?
she gave up so quickly. She's just like, my troops will be here soon. I'm not gonna worry about it. And they're just like, let's throw her in the trash compactor. That'd be funny. So,
Yeah,
That's true.
I really
But-
hope they do hash her out
Yeah,
because I've
that'd be
always
cool.
said if you don't see a person die on screen,
Yeah.
they're most likely not dead.
Well, and that would flesh her out. It's like, hey, Phasma, you go after Finn because he's with Poe. They're leading all these operations that are messing with our plans here. How about you take
to
your
build
team?
another Starkiller base because this has worked.
Well, it would
so many times before.
bigger.
Well, it would be like a Phasma chasing down Finn, across the galaxy, kind of Han Solo, Boba Fett type
There we
relationship.
have like a
That'd be cool.
triangle romance between Phasma, Finn, and Rey, and Finn doesn't know what to do.
Or Phasma, Finn, and Poe, yeah, Or Phasma, Finn, and Chewie.
Ooh.
Anyways,
And
You got
and
really
the
excited
chick
about
that was
from
on the rail
the
from the
short
beginning.
orange chick because I like that.
Maz
Wookiee.
Kanata.
Kanata.
That was funny.
Where's my boyfriend?
Where's my
That was
boy-
like the first thing
I
she
like
said.
that Wookiee.
Where's my boyfriend? She was great, by the way.
I did
loved
enjoy
her.
her character.
Who was the other character you're going to talk about? Who was new?
Snoke.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I
Ideas, Michael.
did not like Snoke. I think that's completely based off
I
of
have no
my
strong
expectations for Snoke. So the thing is that
Love me some Andy Serkis.
the Plagueis theory was really cool, and we talked about that earlier. Basically, for those of you who
not
don't
that's
know,
been released yet.
right? But for those of you who don't know, like Darth Plagueis was the Emperor's master, and apparently
And
the
the
Emperor
most powerful Jedi,
Yeah,
or most
and he-
powerful Sith of all time.
and he may or may not have created Anakin Skywalker through the Force. He was very powerful with the Force. He apparently figured out how to stop people from dying, which in theory could have kept him from dying as well when Palpatine killed him allegedly, and
In
he's
his
been hiding
sleep.
in the shadows. So I think it's a really compelling argument to have him be Plagueis because it's a really good bad character. He's really powerful, and it's not like, hey, this guy was just an underling of Darth Vader or the Emperor, and then when they died, then he's coming out of the shadows. So you're dealing with a lesser villain now. It's not like that. It's like, no, this is a big power that none of us have had to deal with before for thousands of years, whatever it is. And it seems like Snoke is very powerful and very old. So I was really hoping that he would be Plagueis, but obviously he didn't look like what we thought Plagueis would look like, which doesn't necessarily mean that he's not Plagueis, because I think the stuff that said he was immune from the immune species was part of the now Legends canon. So I don't know if that needs to necessarily happen anymore. He could actually be Plagueis. But besides that, I didn't like the look of him. Like, I feel like he was on hologram the whole time,
old.
to be fair.
He's so old.
His head's kind of caved in a little bit. He's got some scars. You want
He's
to know how I got
obviously
these scars?
Been through some stuff.
Yoda.
My problem with that, my problem with him in general, not even just that theory, is where the crap has he been? He's obviously old.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so old.
Well, that's the
if
thing.
he's a
If he was Plagueis, he'd be biding his time.
well.
Emperor thought he
Well,
killed
that's
him.
that's
so
the
he's just
thing.
hiding in the shadows.
That's the thing. If he's just kind of hiding and it's like, hey, that guy's dead. Yay! I
Yeah.
can do stuff again. But if it's not that, it's like he doesn't fall in the rule of two.
Right.
So he can't be a Sith. Well, can't be a true Sith. He can be a Force-using evil person. But it's like, where was he?
First of all, the rule of two was created by the Legends canon now. Yoda had a line where he's like, two, no more, no less, a master and apprentice. And you could take that for what it was, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily need to happen, I guess. I mean, why doesn't that happen with the light side of the Force? Is it like Larfleeze type, like he's the only one that can have the green orange ring? No, nobody.
Are you?
I just made a Green Lantern reference. Never mind.
I was gonna say.
But I mean, is it like the dark side just needs to be sucked in by two people because they're so greedy for the power?
Well, do you want to know the reason of the expanded universe of why they did the rule of two?
Well,
because there was so much infighting.
I'm just questioning the fact that it might not actually be legit. I think there could be more than a couple.
That's fine. That's just
Yeah.
You couldn't technically. I don't think you could technically be considered a Sith unless you were either the master or the apprentice. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't need to follow the expanded universe stuff. But the reason that started is because there was so much infighting. It's just like there was such a struggle for power, and essentially within the Sith, you gained power by killing. It was basically like the Chronicles of Riddick movie of you keep what you kill type of situation. Which is awesome, by the way. I want to live in that society. I wouldn't last very long. Anyways.
Sounds like you don't want to live in that society.
Going beyond my want to live in a society that is all about killing. Yeah, I think it's an interesting point because I think it makes sense if it was, you say Pelagius. I go more towards like Plagueis.
Whatever it is.
Whatever.
Pelagius.
I think it's a really cool and interesting twist that could happen. I don't know how much people actually get into Star Wars outside of, the movies. If I'm assuming the majority of the public doesn't have a lot of input on that, but you got the few like me and Mike who actually have had some background in it. So, very interesting. Do you guys want to touch on just really quickly shotgun through some of the cameos that happened?
Cameos were great.
Yeah. So this obviously specifically in the US and England as well, Star Wars is a cultural phenomenon. I mean, this is something that kids have grown up with since, it first came out, and even people in their teens and 20s and even 30s when it came out is still big to them today. So you have a lot of guys in their 30s and 40s today that grew up with Star Wars that are huge fans. So when they did a new one, I'm assuming this is what happened, is you had all these pretty well-known actors come to JJ or whoever and was like, is it possibility that I can get a small part in this role? So there's tons of small cameos. I think the coolest one is Daniel Craig as the stormtrooper that Rey first uses her mind tricks on. That's a great little tidbit. Simon Pegg's in it. The fact that Bill Hader and I just looked up the guy's name earlier, and now I can't remember. Did the voice of BB-8.
Bill Hader.
Yeah, it's Bill Hader, and what's the other guy's name, though?
John Ralphio. For all I care. Basically John Ralphio.
Just a second, I'll pull it up here.
Another guy, yeah.
Ben Schwartz is his name, from Parks and Rec. The voice of BB-8.
Yep.
Simon Pegg is the dealer.
Basically the guy who gives out food stamps
dealer.
on Jakku. Yep.
Which, by the way, I want to be able to just put some dust
That
into a pan
bread
and
was
get
awesome.
a muffin.
That happened real quick too.
And
it seemed very savory.
It did.
It looked really good. Yeah.
It had some herbs in there.
I also want to live in an AT-AT. That's like my dream house.
I thought the coolest one for me was I don't know which stormtroopers they were, but John Williams obviously did the music for Star Wars, as he always does, as the good Lord made it so. That's how it should be.
And
but you guys
Lord
know
created light, and then John Williams Star Wars.
Apparently, the composers Nigel Goodrich and Michael Giacchino, I think is how you say his name. So I remember Nigel Goodrich from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I think he did. And then Michael Giacchino was the big one who did the Star Trek music recently with the new reboots. They were both stormtroopers. And I'm really hoping they were the two that turned around when Kylo Ren was doing his temper tantrum. That would be hilarious.
That's great.
I would love
a lot of
that.
comedy in
I loved
that
how
movie.
they stopped
Did it really
and
well.
then
They just turned around.
Yep.
Not today.
weren't surprised about the situation. We're just like,
Yep.
we're just gonna walk this way now.
Yep, and then there were apparently a bunch of Game of Thrones actors and actresses all throughout. not even including Gwendolyn Christie.
A couple guys from the raid.
Yeah,
Which Ben
Conja
Yeah,
Club.
which is another con. Like, you don't have the guys from the raid and just get jacked.
And
their
that was
scene must have
really
been
easy
cut.
too.
It
Yeah.
must
Oh
have
my
been cut.
gosh.
Yeah, apparently there was a scene where there's going to be some pretty epic fighting, which you don't fight with Harrison Ford's character. He's going to just pull a blaster on you like he did in Indiana Jones. It's like, oh, you want to fight me? I'm not going to do hand-to-hand combat. I'm just going to shoot you in the face.
It really did feel like it was like Doctor Who episode when they had that like, oh, we're gonna be on a space freighter, and oh, there's
And these-
beasts, and oh, the beasts got let loose, and oh my gosh, they're killing
And these
everybody. What do we
rolling
do?
Mouth octopi or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know what to...
Yeah, that was kind of a weird scene. I didn't really like that scene very much.
That
So-
didn't bother me. I kind of...
I liked it.
I kind of like the idea of these crazy, huge monster aliens.
I
that-
liked it, but it just felt
Do you
weird.
think they'll ever call back? Obviously, that one guy who talked to Conja Club, you know that dude?
Tell it to Conja Club.
Yeah, tell that to Conja
He's still
Club.
alive.
Yeah, he's still alive. So I get the feeling that Ray's going to have to deal with that. Ray and Chewie will have to deal with that at some point in time.
Oh,
because
Han's
they
passed.
talk about he was delivering that to King somebody, right? It's just like I want
The
that.
beast, yeah.
Yeah, I want that to kind of hash out a bit of like, what's the deal with that?
I don't know. I feel like that would just add a couple more layers to the story we don't need. I'm already intrigued by like the Phasma Finn relationship and whatnot.
Phasma Finn.
I want a Beast Gladiator session where he's like gathering.
Well,
all
then
these
make a
different
Planet Thor movie. I don't care.
Oh, it's just a Predator movie all over again, where you take all the craziest beasts and then you hunt them on your planet.
Planet Thor.
Yeah.
Well, Thor and
Sorry,
Hulk
Planet
going-
Hulk. Did I just say Planet Thor?
Well, yeah, you did. Thor and Hulk.
Planet
maybe
Hulk is
a
what
road
I
trip
meant.
thing. So maybe they go on the planet together.
Hey, Thor can be there too.
Yeah, Bill Ray. Was.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Bill Ray.
Yeah.
Beta Ray. Beta Ray Bill.
Thank you. So
The weird guy with the weird face.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they did. Ian McGregor was. I don't know if he. I think he did original recordings again for it for Ray's
did, yep.
flashback,
Yep.
and
These
then
are
they
your
pulled.
footsteps.
Yeah, then they pulled
That's all you crowd.
from what's
Alec
his
Guinness.
face, Alec Guinness,
Sir Alec
and
Guinness.
Yoda.
My
He-
bad.
You
Sir
know what?
Alec
He's
Guinness.
dead, so I feel like I don't need.
So
to,
don't honor him anymore. Makes sense. All right, sounds
Just
good.
saying.
Beautiful.
He's not here right now, Mike.
Okay, best scene
Or
in the
is
whole
he?
movie though was when Kylo Ren was reaching for the lightsaber in the forest, and then it goes straight past his face,
False.
right into Rey's hand. I was chills every single time. I watched it 3 times in the theaters.
The audience
Chills
cheer
every
every
time.
time?
No, the audience only cheered the first time, but I cheered the other 2 times just to make up for that. I was super loud and annoying.
On the subject of that battle, do you guys? There's been a lot of debate, and people like, oh, Kylo Ren's a wussy. He got taken out
Yeah,
so easily. Did that bother you guys?
not really. It did at first. The first watch, I was like, well, the first watch I was so wrapped up in it. Second watch, I was like, I'm really bothered by the fact that he held his own. You know, like Finn held his own for a bit. But honestly, the more that I watched it with that intent, the more I realized, first of all, Kylo Ren just got shot by Chewie's bowcaster, which destroyed stormtroopers before. Like, it blew up crap. Like, it looked like it had, it was like a grenade launcher at one point. It was weird.
Ooh, I like this.
So the fact of the matter remains is that Kylo Ren got shot in the... He got shot in the chest or the side with
No,
that.
he got shot
had some
above
armor.
the hip.
Yeah, he had some armor on, but still, like, it obviously got his blood going out of his body. So, you know, he was injured.
Up and out. Oh, yeah.
You know, to what extent
Blood's
we don't
supposed
know,
to
but
be
he was very
inside of
injured.
you.
Either
Oh,
way,
yeah.
it was a deadly weapon, and he
Oh,
got
yeah.
injured by
He
it.
got
And
straight
then
up hit.
also, I mean, Kylo Ren's dealing with this like dark side, light side issue, and he
Mm-hmm.
just killed his father. I don't know how bad or good he feels about that, but I'm sure he's conflicted. He's not really focusing on it,
Oh,
but he's
yeah.
like, shoot, now's my chance to get that darn lightsaber from Rey. So, you know, that's all he wants.
the
That
meddling
darn
kid
lightsaber.
But I mean,
from that meddling fur monster and that.
get off my lawn,
Black
kids. But I mean, honestly, when I looked at it again, I could see I didn't have as much of a problem with it because from the onset, like I think the first strike was Finn's, but then after that, he was really defensive the whole fight. Like he wasn't
yeah.
going after Kylo at all. Kylo definitely had the upper hand. Felt like
Oh,
he
yeah.
was toying with him a little bit. Then he slashed him in the back, so obviously he won. And
Oh, yeah.
then Rey was going, and Rey was even falling behind, and then she was like,
running away. Most
"Oh
of the
my
time.
gosh, I have the Force!" And then she came after him a little bit. So you know, mind wipe or whatever. It seems like she has some kind of power. Either she's super powerful or she's had training before and she just doesn't remember it until now. But either way, I didn't have as much of an issue with him, considering it felt like he was kind of dying. Maybe he'll have to get put into Darth Vader armor, and then he'll, yay!
Hey, no,
it's not even my birthday yet. I get Darth Vader armor? Cool.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. Like, how can you miss all of those?
The first time it bugged me, yeah.
The first time it didn't really bug me because, again, he got
did.
shot and he was dealing with it, and Rey was kind of the first person to sort of psych him out as far as the Force goes. Like, you got in my head, and you know my insecurities. And plus, Snoke was trying to, like, hey, this person's powerful, try to get her to come over. So he's probably kind of like, hey, I'll sort of toy with you a bit and then convince you to join my side instead of just hacking you to pieces.
Well, and let's be honest, too. Like, Kylo Ren's a little bit of a poser. Nobody ever said he was an amazing swordsman.
That's true, too. Strong with the Force, but doesn't mean he's good with the lightsaber.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
My thing with it, he's obviously very strong with the Force and using his mind, but when it comes to the lightsaber itself is very poorly constructed. I mean, that is very obvious.
It's made poorly.
No, I don't think it is. Because
I think it is.
What I've read before is that it's a cracked kyber crystal. And so those are like the crystals that you use to make lightsabers. And so it's cracked. And that means
he's
it's like
poor at picking the materials for making a lightsaber.
You never know.
Which means it's a poor lightsaber.
Well, okay, let's look at it this way. He was apparently being trained as a Jedi, and then apparently he decided to defect to the dark side. And I don't know how hurried or rushed that was or how conflicted, obviously, he still is. But he might not have been thinking clearly. He might just be like, oh my gosh, there's only one of these red kyber crystals left, but I want to, continue the legacy of Darth Vader, my grandfather, apparently who he's a huge fanboy of. And, I could see him being like, no, if there's a chance between a cracked red crystal and like a purple one and a green one, I'm going with the cracked red one because that's the Sith way. I need that to be a Sith. But apparently those like crossguard blades are really like
just
diffusers or whatever, vents, to get rid of the stuff. Either way, it's not a great lightsaber, but I don't know if it was poorly constructed. I think he just did what he could with what he had.
I mean, it's a good theory, but I feel like a lot of the theories that came out before this movie came out, I think that's a reach. Personally,
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty big reach to go that into depth on a lightsaber.
At any rate, he's just not trained with it very well.
Yeah, I think the easier conclusion is he has not, and he hasn't completed his training. We know that.
Well, he's very confident too.
Yeah.
Like he even told Rey, he's like, I can take whatever I want. Just give it to me. Don't resist. And then he's like, oh shoot, I can't take it from her.
I loved the
Dang
casting.
It.
I really did. I thought that was a great casting decision.
Yeah.
I liked what's his face as General Hux, even though he was just super loud and obnoxious most of the time. But I thought it was great. The movie overall was great. Yes, that's that's what it's gonna come down to. It brought back a lot of childhood memories when they first showed the Millennium Falcon. I almost stood up.
Oh my gosh!
It's just like that reveal was. There it is.
Yep.
Oh no, that's a piece of junk.
That was probably the biggest, besides Chewie and Han coming up the ramp. That was probably the biggest applause I heard from people.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
So yeah, I mean,
chills.
If you haven't, I don't know why you'd be listening to this podcast if you haven't seen it, but please go see it.
It was legitimately so good. I haven't run across anybody who's like, I hate that darn movie.
See it again if you haven't.
I've seen a couple of posts online that said that, but outside of George Lucas, not too many people have disliked that movie. So yeah, definitely go see it. Other than that, I think that's gonna wrap us up for today.
Sorry,
unless
we took
you guys
a little
have
bit
some
of
final points.
Not really. No, I think we did all we could. If we want to have an extended director's cut later, we can do that.
Extended director's cut.
I could talk about this for a while, but I won't.
This is true.
Yeah, we could go into a lot of different theories
You're
and
welcome
ideas
for
and stuff. Anyways, this is our first episode of 2016.
Yep. Cheap Shot Cinema.
There we go. There it is. What are we calling this again?
He wasn't trying to figure out the year. He was trying to figure out the
Shot
name.
Cinema. It's going to take me a bit. I'm still getting used to it. Anyways, I'm Zach.
I'm Mike.
I'm Ben.
You have a good one. Bye.